what is K-shaped recovery, economic recovery, and what are its implications. The prospects of K-shaped recovery from the COVID are increasing both in India and across the world. So let us discover what is meant by this K-shaped recovery. What is a K-shaped recovery? A K-shaped recovery happens when different sections of an economy recover at a starkly different rates. That is, recovery at different stark rates. Recovery at different start rates. A household at the top of households at the top of the pyramid are likely to have seen in their incomes largely protected, and meanwhile the households at the bottom are likely to have witnessed permanent hits to jobs and incomes. That is, a K-shaped recovery happens when the different sections of an economy recover at a starkly different rates. Households at the top of the pyramid are likely to have seen their incomes largely projected and savings rates forced up during the lockdown, increasing fuel in the tank to drive the future consumption. That is, households save the money in order to for the future consumption. They save the money, they do not spend immediately, so the consumption decreases. That is, there is a downward trend in the trend. When coming to the households at the bottom are likely to have witnessed a permanent hit to the jobs and incomes. So these are the two types of people. Households at the top, households at the top of the pyramid are likely to have been seen in increasing seen their incomes largely protected because of the future consumption, and also households at the bottom are likely to have witnessed permanent hit to jobs and incomes. So what are the macroeconomic implications of a K-shaped recovery? The upper income households have benefited from higher savings for 2 quarters. Households at the bottom have experienced a permanent loss of income in the form of jobs and wage cuts and so on. This will be recurring drag on the demand. If the labor market does not heal faster, this is a big drag on the demand, to the extent that the COVID has triggered an effective income transfer from the poor to the rich. This will be demand impeding because the poor have a higher marginal propensity to consume. That is, they tend to spend instead of saving as much higher proportion of their income. Uh, if COVID-19 reduces the competition or increases the inequality of the incomes and opportunities, it could impinge on the trend growth in developing economies by hurting the productivity and tightening the political economy constraints. So, the policy therefore needed to look beyond the next few quarters and anticipate the state of macroeconomy post the sugar rush. That is, all the thing is here about is the K-shaped economic recovery. That is, few upper income households, that is at the top. See, first thing is households at the top we have to consider, and also the households at the bottom. See, what does the households at the top do? Households at the top, they save the income because the pandemic time they have to save the income for our future needs. But meanwhile, the households at the bottom, what they do, they have lost their jobs, and they have the demand has been hit tremendously. But what is the actual macroeconomic implication of the K-shaped recovery is the households at the bottom, actually the marginal propensity to consume. This you have to keep in mind. Higher poor have higher marginal propensity to consume. That is, poor people, if they get 1 rupee, nearly more than 50% or nearly 60% they try to spend instead of saving as much as higher proportion of their income. So with the help of these people, households at the bottom of the pyramid, the marginal propensity to consume increases and hence the demand increases. But the households at the top of the pyramid are likely to have seen their incomes largely protected. They save their income and hence the demand decreases. But what this COVID-19 has done, this COVID-19 has increased the inequalities. That is, more wealth has generated at the top of the pyramid households, and less income or less wealth or less amount of income is given to the households at the bottom, which who generally spend more. So this problem is called K-shaped recovery. That is, the income decreasing and also the savings increasing. But investment is nothing. There is no investments is being shown here. So the policy therefore need to look beyond the few quarters and anticipate the state of macroeconomic post towards sugar rush. If you see at the letters, Business Times explains the letters of economic recovery. There are many types of economic recovery like V, U, W, L. Recession or recovery is a basically recovery is a formal shorthand description of the economic cycle heard often these days. These shapes take their names from the approximate pattern or data they make in the graphs tracking the fluctuations of the economy. In the first of the two-part series on the shape of the recovery, we decipher what we mean. So these are the type of graphs you can see. These are the K-shaped recovery, and so many types of recoveries are you can see. See what kind of recession or recovery do these shapes shown below. We will see V-shaped recovery. In a best case scenario, it depicts the economy snapping back as quickly, as steeply as itself. That is, economy falls down quickly and also gains quickly. Example: US recession in mid 1950s, when output fell to the three straight quarters, a shot back up to the shot fell by 8.3% and then 12%. That is, it fell by 8.3%, but again it gained by 12% drastically in the mid 1950s in the US. So this is a V-shaped recovery, and this is L-shaped recovery. That is slow and steady. That is, growth decreases and again it stables there. W-shaped recovery, the more unstable economy we can call it as, more fluctuations and more, you can clearly call this in the Middle East countries economy. These type of W-shaped recovery can be seen, and U-shaped recovery, and Nike shaped recovery, the increase in the economy, and Z-shaped recovery, W-shaped recovery, these are more unstable, and square root shaped recovery. So these are the K-shaped recovery. See, this is the K-shaped recovery. That is, some few factors are moving upwards and few sectors are moving, growth is downwards. So these are the kinds of the recoveries based on the graphs that is being provided.